Do you want to know what the main issue is with using steroids? It's not acne, it's not moon face, it's not hair loss, it's not high blood pressure, it's not high risk of injury, it's not yellowing of the eyes, it's not... No, it's the fact that it's addicting.
I think it's psychologically addictive. You start taking testosterone and any other product, you're going to put on 10 pounds probably with the right diet. All your lifts are going to go up 40 pounds. In the gym, you're going to hear remarks like, oh my God, you're getting huge. Oh my God, you're swole, you're jacked as f***. Eventually, he's got to come off the stuff. And when he comes off, his testicular axis is going to be 0. He's going to go into a complete lull down here, lose size, lose strength. It's like Superman and Clark Kent. Now he's way below he was before he even took steroids. Now the comments he's getting in the gym is, are you dieting? Are you sick? Do you have cancer? Do you have AIDS? You've lost 20 pounds. So that's psychological addiction. Now he's like, do I want to feel this way or do I want to feel this way?
Now, many people don't actually think about the issues with addiction when it comes to bodybuilding and steroids in general. They think about the physical side effects and the issues that come with that. Now, of course, I'm not negating those. I'm not saying that they have, no saying any of this at all, because very, very many of those are very serious and in some cases fatal. We see that a lot recently with the numbers of people dying from bodybuilding going up and up because of more people using it. But I would argue that one of the main issues of bodybuilding or PEDs is the addiction of it. Now, this isn't like a regular addiction. It's nothing physical. It's all mental. And before I go into that a bit more, let me just show you the difference between a physical addiction and a mental addiction. I will read it out so I don't misquote it, but basically a physical definition is when your body adapts to a substance which creates a physical dependence on something. So for instance, if you're so used to using, a certain recreational drug, for instance, or medication, your body adapts to using that. And so if you completely take it away, whether through obviously tapering it off or going cold turkey, you will get physical withdrawal symptoms. I have some examples here. So for instance, with alcohol, if you take that away, then that can have tremors, you can have anxiety, you can have seizures. If you're addicted to nicotine and you take that away, you can have stuff like irritability, cravings, and headaches. And I've actually seen this with caffeine as well, really. Caffeine addiction is something that's talked about at the moment. And there are people who are so addicted to caffeine, and what they'll do is they'll go on a detox for a bit, but they'll have really bad headaches. Now, the difference between a physical addiction and a mental addiction is that you're basically dependent on it as your body would be, but you wouldn't have the physical withdrawals. Now, so I'm not saying this incorrectly again, your brain becomes emotionally or psychologically dependent. The person thinks that they need the substance or behavior for relief, pleasure, or function, basically just functioning in everyday life. A big example of this would be gambling. That's very popular. And of course, they're not going to have physical withdrawal symptoms, but you'll have extreme urges if you're not doing it.
Oh my God, that hit people. Oh no. Oh my God, this is just devastation. I hate plinkerball. I'm never plinkerballing again.
And this perfectly is summed up with bodybuilding and PEDs. Once you start taking these PEDs, like Trend, for instance, that people talk about, you're going to have these mental highs. You're going to think that you're frigging Superman, that you can lift any weight that you want, that you can get as big as possible, that you can basically run through a frigging wall. Like, that's how these people are thinking when they're on these compounds. Ronnie Coleman even said this quite flippantly on Joe Rogan.
You look like a dude who they invented in a Marvel comic book to kill the Hulk. Like, that's what you look like when you were in your prime, man.
I mean, yeah, I felt like I probably could too back in those days.
Again, you have these constant freaking you're literally invincible, or at least you think you're invincible. And it's funny because I found a clip, like some old clip from like Channel 5 in the UK, where the guy mentions this.
One thing, if you're taking steroids and you're training Monday to Friday, when you're taking cocaine, you feel big and pumped until the next day, and you feel small and deflated, and you feel dehydrated and drawn, and
that makes you want to start.
Oh, and then you want to go back in gym. So it's a constant cycle. Monday to Friday you're in gym. Friday night comes, bang on at sniff, which is really mad.
And it's funny because when you sniff creatine, shout out to Greg for that one, when you sniff creatine, it's also a psychological, mental addiction. People who are addicted to that substance basically relate euphoria, basically relate pleasure to taking that, so they want to take it more and more often. So he's not wrong in saying that taking gear isn't that different than like taking freaking creatine. Relating it to doing gear throughout the week and on the weekend sniffing creatine. By the way, the amount of takes where I'm having to take this out to say creatine instead of the other one. So imagine if you were to come like straight off of it. Imagine you're like taking these compounds, you're like ready to go like all the time. Like, yes, you might have transomnia and whatnot where you can't sleep, but that doesn't mean that you still have this like friggin' urge, like energy. Mix that in with, for instance, like pre-workouts and caffeine where you're like going to be off your head and potentially other stimulants. Bodybuilders might take recreational drugs also, so they have a mental dependence and mental addiction on those as well. And then take that away. Just take it away. For instance, what if a health scare comes up and then they have to get off of these compounds? They're not going to, they're going to be cooked. You'll go from having all of this energy to basically just being completely flatlined. And the mad thing is as well, it's not even a case of you come off the compounds, you get these mental side effects of, okay, now I'm no longer having this Superman-like urge, this friggin' like absolute masculine energy or whatever you want to call it. But also you're going to be seeing yourself progressively getting smaller and weaker over time. So you're regressing in regard to the progress that you spent however long making whilst you're on these compounds, as well as coming off of these compounds. So you're going to have a basically a double frigging whammy.
That's the other part. Like the mental part of running steroids, like you feel superhuman. You know, you're in the gym, you feel better than you ever felt, you're looking better, you're getting attention from everybody about how you're looking, right? And we all want affirmation for what we do. So when everybody's telling you, man, you look great, you look crazy, you look crazy, there's not a physical addiction to steroids, but the mental addiction to steroids is wild, right? Because I know shit's gonna come off and I'm gonna lose. Like, I'm not gonna look like this in 8 weeks from now, right? Like, once this is out of my system, I'm gonna get a little softer, I'm gonna lose a little bit of these gains, I'm not gonna be as strong. And so what I see is trending is people not coming off, or people now, the term is like, oh, I'm just cruising. Yeah. And they're cruising on like 300-400 milligrams of testosterone.
But it doesn't end there, sadly enough, because there is another thing which has come up a lot more recently. It's crept up through the likes of social media, something that wasn't really apparent, wasn't really prevalent in the days of the 80s, 90s, 2000s perhaps. And that's increased body dysmorphia and social awareness. And what I mean by that is, bro, your body dysmorphia, you're going to be comparing yourselves not only to other competitors that you may be competing against, but also other guys on social media. When you come off the juice and you're downsizing, you will no longer look as good as these other guys. So you're going to be completely cooked. You think you're soft. You think you've lost muscle. You think that you're weak now. You think that you need this basically to have good workouts. Let alone if you were to compare yourself to your previous self also. If you saw pictures of yourself, let's say for instance you're a bodybuilder and you're like used to seeing yourself on stage ripped, shredded, like striated glutes and full chest and all stuff like that, and then you come off of this stuff, you're looking at those pictures and you're no longer that person. You may not be receiving validation also. For instance, imagine you're like on gear, you're big as freaking hell, you're lifting all these weights, you have people in the gym who are like, bro, you're sick or whatever. But also, as I was saying before, what's exacerbated through social media is that all these other people are going to be commenting on your videos, oh bro, you look sick, oh this whatever. You're going to be getting the views, the likes, the shares, the comments. People might be reposting your stuff. You might be getting links, like DMs and stuff like that from people saying, oh, let's do collabs. And of course, if you're not then known for your personality and stuff as well, and you're only known for your physique and lifts, imagine if you were to regress and come off of that. You're not going to be getting as many opportunities, interactions, or as much validation from the people on social media who are going to be telling you look sick.
My job is for social media, right? Like I do better. I'm known for being aesthetic and lean. When my body is like lean and aesthetic, I feel like shit. I feel like less of a man. My sex drive is shit. My sleep is shit.
Now it's mad because this is kind of an issue that I mentioned in a video recently, which is the idea of peaking in bodybuilding or sort of going through cycles. You're not going to look like your stage ready physique all of the time, but that's kind of the perception that people have on social media, that you can look that good year round. It's just not sustainable for your health or just in general. So you basically have to come off of these compounds to then go on another blasting cycle, or, you know, go on a cruise so that you can take more for a prep or for an off season or whatever. Do you know what I mean? You have to come, like, you know, go up and down, come off and on, you know, do, I don't want to say a blasting cruise, but you get my point. Or in other instances, come completely off for the purpose of, I'm not competing anymore. I'm going to use an example for this. Someone like Dorian Yates, for instance. Dorian Yates went from someone who was Mr. Olympia, basically the best bodybuilder in the freaking world, mate, winning it 6 times in a row. Now, what happened in 1997 is that he pulled his tricep on the same arm that he tore his bicep. So think about it like this, okay? He's just won the Mr. Olympia, but he's just torn his tricep also, which hadn't recovered. He hadn't gotten the surgery for that. He then says, okay, now I'm retiring. And what does he do? He comes completely off. He doesn't even do PCT, by the way. He just comes completely off. So his hormones are shot. Mentally, he's shot. Physically, he's injured. He's also getting smaller and weaker. And to be fair, let's just throw in a few others just to show how mentally tough someone like Yates is, bro. He was going through a divorce at the time and bereavement from a close friend or relative. I can't remember which it was exactly. But imagine going through all of that. For a silver lining, I think a good thing for Yates is that it wasn't at a time of social media. He could basically go about it on his own. If he wanted to make TV appearances, magazine appearances, interview appearances with people in bodybuilding, I'm sure he could, and I'm sure he actually did as well. There's videos of him at the 1998 Mr. Olympia, but most of it was all done offline. Now take someone like Nick Walker, for instance. Nick Walker pulled his hamstring a couple years ago. That was publicly announced to everyone, and everyone talked about it because it was a week out from the Mr. Olympia. Imagine if he pulls another muscle. Imagine he gets put into early retirement. Imagine he never wins the Mr. Olympia, which is his main goal, and he has to get taken off of gear. He's going to have all of these bad effects, but also it's going to be exacerbated through social media because everyone's going to be talking about it. And to sort of bring it back all together, what happens when you come off and you're not, you know, getting that mental high anymore? You come off and you're getting smaller. You come off and you're not strong as you used to be. Or people are saying that you look smaller. Or, you know, you're not as good as you used to be in that time where you were competing on stage and whatnot. What happens? People relapse. And there are videos of that online.
I had, as of 3 months ago, relapse and gone back on a full steroid cycle. Now, the reason why I stopped in the first place, for those who didn't watch the video, is to stop compromising my health, to ensure that I can have a happy, healthy marriage with my wife, and to focus more on my business, being PR and now the gym.
Like Larry Wheels, for instance, here, he said that he relapsed and went back on steroids. Now, it wasn't particularly because he wanted to. Like, okay, it kind of was. A lot of it was because of his career. He wanted to get back into bodybuilding to promote his brand and make more money. But I guarantee you that some of the mental effects played a role in that. Larry Wheels went from someone who was friggin' lifting some of the heaviest weights on social media, pushing for his pro card and getting quite close to it at the Amateur Olympia in 2023, and then he just comes off and he's no longer doing that anymore and he's focusing on his business. Of course, that's going to be good because he's making more money from it, but he's no longer this person that everyone knows him as. So what's he going to do? Well, what did he do?
I had, as of 3 months ago, relapse and gone back on a full steroid cycle.
At the end of the day, it's a big issue in bodybuilding that many people don't talk about. Again, people talk about the physical side effects, the health risks that come with it, but they don't talk about the mental stuff that comes with bodybuilding, the addiction of it, and the drawbacks of that, because in my opinion, they are a big issue.